Hey everyone, welcome to another Railfanning video. This will be covering my third and final trip of the summer, covering the events of my July 2025 Central Kansas trip. Day 1 was the same day that we left Branson. We would arrive at home and rest for 10 minutes before leaving for Central Kansas. Nothing much would happen until we started along Highway 50, where before we turned off we would see a manifest with Canadian Pacific Unit trailing second. The next train we would see was while we were passing through a small town. It was a K&O train parked on the Newton subdivision. Nothing much would happen on day 2. All we would do is stop by Newton, where we would see 1648, 1693, and 2788. After that, we would circle around the yard as usual. After that, we made a quick stop at Walmart, which is where I picked up the new motorized Thomas and Flying Scotsman. On day 3, we would head down to Hutch. The first thing we would do is head over to Yagi in hopes of seeing WAMX 4246, a Southern Pacific painted SD40M. While leaving Hutch, the crossing gates would go off while we were a few blocks down from it, and I didn't realize until it was too late, and wasn't able to get my camera out. It had 2 Jeeps, one of which was a GP40-2 that was leading. With that fumble out of the way, we would be met by a lone K&O Jeep at Yagi. We would head over to the salt mines to get pictures of their SW unit and what I believe is an XB and GP9 with its nose chopped down for better visibility. One of the reasons we came down to Hutch, besides trying to see 4246, was to see the deadline of Dash 9s that they had there, that I heard learned about before I left for Colorado, which had 2 BNSF 4 bonnets back to back. We would leave Hutch after that, going over the bridge and heading for Newton, where we would see 2788, and I would take some pictures of the engines around there. Day 4 was the day that we would go to Wichita and the Great Plains Transportation Museum, due to it being a Saturday. This day wouldn't be a lackluster day of Railfanning at the museum, as had been usual with a lot of trains coming through this day. When we got there, it wouldn't take long for the first train to show up. It was a BNSF train with a pretty normal consist. After the train passed by, we would wait for a little bit until eventually another train showed up. It was the daily KOFRNT that ran from the Kansas and Oklahoma's rail yard in Wichita to the BNSF yard to do yard work there. When I first saw it, there was an engine sandwiched in between a Jeep and what looked like an SD. It had some faded red on it with some white and gray too. I soon realized it was 4246. As the train passed by, I turned around in horror to see a UP train right next to it. If that UP train had been a minute early, I would have completely missed 4246. I knew I would have had another opportunity to see 4246 when it returned back from the BNSF yard. While waiting for it, I would walk around the museum taking pictures of the 93, not knowing if it would be the last time I saw it in its condition. I would soon move to another piece of equipment. They'd recently repainted a Rock Island caboose, and it looked beautiful. After that, another UP train would come by. It wasn't long before 4246 returned. It caught me off guard, but I started recording in time. After that, we left heading for the BNSF yard, and within the time that we'd gotten Broadway, another train had popped up out of nowhere. I thought I saw Montana Railink Ace on it originally, but it was actually a Bean SD40-2. I was worried that it would pass us before we got by the yard, but we outpaced it and turned into a crossing fast. Along with all of that, 1446 was in the yard too. After that, we headed to Newton, where we would see BNSF 3115, one of BNSF's very few GP25Xs. Day 5 was my final full day being in central Kansas. We would go to Newton to see if we could catch anything. There were 3 units of interest in the yard that day, those being 1446, 2788, and BNSF War Bonnets 4707. Nothing much would happen that day, just a few moves around the fueling pad. After hours of waiting, something would soon come in sight. I thought it was just an ordinary consist, but it wasn't. At first, I thought I saw just some green, but as I got closer, I realized it wasn't just green, but it was yellow and green. It was a bluebonnet and a green bean. It is. They turned out to be 1648 and 1935, returning back on the daily Newton to Kansas City train. I knew that it would head back to the fueling pad, and since 1648 was last, I knew I'd get to see it leading back. After it parked at the fueling pads, I went over to take some pictures and my camera started to get low on battery. This was the one day I didn't take a charger with me, so I had to head back to tell my grandma that my camera had died. We would head back soon, but she had to go to the bathroom. While I was waiting in the car, I heard a horn, so I quickly ran over the hill and started recording with my phone. My phone really surprised me. It had been having camera troubles while recording for a month. Here's an example of it. After that, we would head home. On the way back home on day 6, we took a quick stop at noon, where we would see 1935 and 1648 back to back. After that, we would go down Highway 50, seeing one train, then stopping at Emporia. Thank you for watching this video. Sorry it took a while, my allergies flared up, so I was really stuffy. Have a good day, evening, or night.